Say something is what he says. Say something. So all of y'all know that I got most talkative in high school, so we do not want this to be eternal. Welcome to the Black Wall Street Awards. And this is my honor to be here to support Donnie in this, and moreover, to recognize all of the people in this community that have won an award from him for all of your hard work. And it takes a village for real. We can't do this by ourselves. And we need to know who's doing and who's making changes in our community. And we don't always know who they are or where they are or what they're doing. But it takes Black Wall Street and others to make certain that we are aware of what's going on in our community, how we can tap in to help and to empower. Thank you all for joining Donnie with this event, and thank you for taking the time to listen to me. Good evening.
Thank you, Marsha Jews. She has WKIM Media, and she's online. She broadcasts on a regular basis. We stream. So my name's Donnie Glover, publisher of BeMoreNews.com. We also came up with, and that's 21 years old. We just celebrated our 21st birthday. Praise the Lord. And then when the pandemic hit, we started streaming. And so December 2020, we launched BlackUSA.News. So does anybody in here know about Black Wall Street, about Tulsa? Now most of us know about Tulsa. We know that in 1921, a racial incident broke out. They said a black man attacked a white lady in the elevator, and next thing you know, Tulsa, which was the most magnanimous demonstration of black economic empowerment in the nation. 36 square blocks of black businesses. It was burned to the ground, and it was bombed from the air. But y'all knew about this way back with the Gap Band. What was the song about the Gap Band? You dropped a bomb on me. How many of us knew it was about Tulsa? I didn't. I thought it was, you knew it? I thought it was about a girl. They dropped a bomb. First time in American history. But that was 1921. May 31st to June 1st, 1921. But then, and I wrote a book, I Am Black Wall Street. You are all charged with getting a copy off of Amazon. I Am Black Wall Street. But then I learned that there were so many other Black Wall Streets, including right here in Baltimore. Did you know it was Black Wall Street in Baltimore? Did you know there was a man named Tom Smith? He lived in the 6600 block of Ricestown Road in the early 1900s. Did you know that? Scott, a black, look him up, he in the Maryland Archives. Tom Smith, he was the largest black hotelier in these United States. Right here out of Baltimore, he had the Smith Hotel, and then he had a bar. And his hotel was the largest contributor back then to the Democratic Party, which back then was the Republican Party, if you understand the speech. Little Willie Adams, financed a bunch of businesses in Baltimore, East Baltimore, West Baltimore. Little Willie ran the numbers. I understand, I don't know that when the lottery first came out, his name was on the back of a lottery ticket. Is that true?
That's right.
There you have it, it's confirmed by number. You knew that, Gwen?
Yeah, I know that. Well,
He had the number, you knew it?
yeah, on the head on Madonna.
Mondama.
Yeah, called Metro Plaza.
Metro Plaza, that's right.
Uh-huh.
Any New Yorkers in the house? Not one New Yorker. Well, New York, huh?
Here we go.
Okay. Now that was, I told you Tulsa was 1921. New York, you know, they ended slavery there in 1827. And the rest of the country was 1865. There was 1827. So in Manhattan, in between 82nd and 89th, they had what's called Seneca Village, independent black community. And then about 8 years later, over in Brooklyn, they had, hold up, okay, they had Brooklyn. They had a place called Weeksville. Now it's called the Weeksville Heritage Center on Buffalo Avenue. And so we've had these ceremonies up and down the East Coast in places like Weeksville. We've given away over 2,500 of these plaques. We celebrate black entrepreneurs and professionals as well as the people who support them regardless of race. Now I wanted to tell you, for the good white folk in this room, that in my book I got two heroes. One is Chief John Smith. He was a black Seminole Indian who fought in the Second Seminole War, which in my opinion was the largest slave insurrection in these United States. Don't believe everything they tell you in the history books, because they'll tell you that the blacks on the Trail of Tears were slaves, and I'm here to tell you they were soldiers, because only soldiers carry weapons.
All right,
I will tell you that in Florida, up until 1831, if you were enslaved and escaped to Florida, because it was still owned by Spain, you could get your freedom. How many people knew that? You could get your freedom. I'd be headed to Florida because after Trayvon Martin, I was just sick of Florida. And Ron DeSantis, I just want to push him in the inner harbor. Okay, so all over the country. And one last thing. The first blacks that went to Oklahoma, anybody know where they came from? They came from Florida. Florida is where the first black man entered these United States. And he was not enslaved. Mr. Lundy, his name was Juan Garrido.
Teach, sir.
He was a Spanish conquistador.
Teach.
They tell us so many lies. They tell us that we all came in the bottom of a slave ship. I'm going to tell you there were some black people already here.
Teach, sir.
How many of y'all been to Vegas? Anybody stayed at the Luxor?
Teach,
Did
sir.
you ask yourself, why do they have a pyramid-shaped hotel in the middle of the Las Vegas desert?
Teach, sir.
They
Teach.
got it because in Kincaid's Cave, in the Grand Canyon, they are Egyptian artifacts. Did you know there were Egyptian artifacts found in Kincaid's Cave in the Grand Canyon?
Teach, sir.
And they couldn't have been there like 200 years ago, 300. They're talking about thousands of years ago. Anybody ever heard of Mansa Musa?
Teach, sir.
He was the richest king who ever lived, then, today, and in the future. Black man out of Mali. But we don't learn these things. All they tell us in history is that something about Chicken George and stepping fetching and, you know, tap dancing and buck dancing when your people come from greatness. One last thing. I hear the rappers say all the time, I came from nothing and I'm going to something. No, you didn't. Look up your family tree. You're liable to find some greatness, some excellence.
Teach, sir. Teach.
Stop believing everything somebody told you. We should do our own history. How you like that, Marsha? You ready? Okay. Sean Stinnett, are we ready yet? You ready?
Yeah, she's a couple minutes away.
Snooze, you lose, right? Got to be on time. This is Sean Stinnett. If you're in business, there are some people in this room I want you to get to know. And I'm going to keep it as short as I can. Scott Phillips, put your hand up.
All right.
That's a
All
delegate
right.
from the 10th District.
All right.
Everybody needs to know Scott Phillips. He is also an attorney. He has helped many businesses get situated. Senator John Pinker, put your hand up. Guilty as charged. He is, matter of fact, he's on the board of the Salvation Army, which is coming to Sandtown. I live in Sandtown, and despite all the negative, we have some gems in Sandtown. I know you. And then Mr. Chris Lundy, MBE chief for Baltimore City. So if you're trying to get contracts with Baltimore City, you should know Mr. Lundy. Sean Stinnett, tell them who you are.
Good evening, everybody. Like Donnie said, I'm Sean Stinnett. I used to had the privilege of working under Chief Lundy. I used to be the director of Baltimore Main Streets, and of course, my partner just came in that we're going to honor. She's one of the persons right now. She was my program coordinator, but now she's the interim director of Baltimore Main Street, Charlotte Nader. Thank you for coming. I left. It was hard, a hard decision to make, and of course, Chris countered offered, and tried to get me to stay. However, I had gone back over to the state of Maryland Department of General Services, where I serve as the Minority, Veterans, and Small Business Liaison for the agency through Office of State Procurement, as well as the MBE VSB Compliance Supervisor. So pretty much overall, my job is, if you're a minority business and veteran business owner, you have state contracts, I make sure that you get paid and get paid on time. So that's what we're trying to really clean up things the way it needs to be, and really make sure that we stabilize these, particularly these black businesses, and really make sure that we stay on top of the mission of Governor Moore, because that was my #1 reason why I needed to go back and make sure that I put my experience and influence in the Office of State Procurement. Because all of the contracts that are coming through every state agency comes through my office, and I have to give the final approval. So I needed to make sure that we do their due diligence, making sure that we had minority participation on these contracts. But further ado, so I want to I'll backtrack. Won't we start with? Before I left the city, I wanted to make sure that I really wanted to really show my appreciation to 4 individuals that was really